Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having us. Well, me, but
Yeah, you're representing the band.
yeah.
So are you in Toronto right now?
Yes. Well, I live in Markham, which is like 30-ish minutes north of Toronto. But I mean, yeah, Toronto.
Nice. Awesome. So like with the holidays coming up, I was just curious, are you big into Christmas or growing up, did you
My
celebrate?
family is super into Christmas. Yeah. And it's a weird time to be like, it's a weird holiday, I think, right? Right now, at least.
I know, right? Yeah, a lot of people can't be with their families or loved ones, and
I mean,
yeah, it just
I
doesn't
still
really
live,
feel like Christmas.
I still live with my family, so for us, like, we're here, but like the rest of the family is not. Yeah, and I mean, our area actually just went back into lockdown a week ago. So, we were kind of good being outside of Toronto for maybe the last 2 months or so, because Toronto's been in lockdown. But as of a week ago, York region was shut down, and yeah, it's weird being in lockdown and holidays.
I know, it kind of sucks.
How about you?
Yeah, unfortunately, so I'm in Boston, so most of my
Okay.
family is in Michigan and some is in New Hampshire. So yeah, it's not really safe to travel to get together. So luckily I have a bunch of, friends in the area, so I'll just
That's
go
great.
over to their house and celebrate with them.
Yeah, that's great. At
So
least
at least I
at
won't be
least
completely alone.
exactly. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so I was wondering, do you have like a favorite Christmas movie?
Uh, I really like the old, like the really old animated, like traditional Christmas movies, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty and all of
Oh
them.
yeah, what were those called? Like stop motion ones,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. Stop motion. Yeah,
I think that's what it's called, or was it like claymation? I can't remember. It's like one of those two.
it's both or one or the other. But yeah, no, I really enjoy those ones. That's what I grew up watching. I actually just watched Rudolph again
Oh, I love
last
Rudolph.
weekend. Yeah, and it was like this DVD that had some bonus features on it, and they were kind of going through a list of fun facts. And apparently, the first ever time that Rudolph aired in 1964, Rudolph forgot to tell Santa about the island of misfit toys, and they don't go back and get them. And the following year, they had so many people writing letters to them that they had to reshoot an extra scene where Santa and Rudolph go and get the misfit toys and bring them to kids.
Oh my gosh. That's a fun fact. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. It was kind of,
How could they forget that?
yeah.
Nice. Well, I have to say, your latest single, To the Gallows, that's like one of the best rock songs I've heard this year.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like the vocals and the emotion in it and the guitar solo, it's like 100% a real rock song. So I'm kind of curious, where does that haunting emotion come from in that song?
You know what? I think it definitely started. It was 2 summers ago when we were writing the song, and our guitar player Cecil Eugene, he had just got a new delay pedal, and he started kind of playing around with it, and you can kind of hear it in the final mix. This sort of distant guitar that kind of builds, and I think he started playing this sort of dissonant guitar pattern that went into, it was dissonant but it was quiet, and then it went into this like very aggressive and loud sort of shift. And I think we all immediately jumped on that, like, whatever we were planning to work on in practice that day was out the window, because that was what we all wanted to do. And I really think a lot of it comes from what he started with the guitar there. And Christian Dotto, our bass player, and myself, we immediately jumped on that and just started grooving on it and jamming on it. And Mike Biase, our singer, grabs his notebook and starts like, I don't write lyrics at all, but he just goes. And he hears something and he just starts writing. And I don't know how anyone can just do that. But he does it. And he wrote this sort of dark and moody, brooding, and like twisted sort of narrative, and then sang it in an even darker and moody way.
Right? No, I have to say it's kind of gives off like a old school rock vibe to it, but it's also modern enough that you could hear it on the radio today.
Yeah, it's it was weird. A lot of our music is very 70s, 80s rock driven. A lot of like riffs, big solos. That's a lot of the music that Mike grew up listening to. It's a lot of the music I grew up listening to, and to a certain extent, that's a lot of the music that Chris and Cecil grew up listening to. I mean, when you kind of dig into it, though, we're all coming from different musical places and influences. But to the Gallows, this was a song that, when Cecil started playing it again, like I heard a big Alice in Chains and Deftones influence, which for me are like bands that I especially love. Like I love 90s rock and alternative rock from that sort of style. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Like this is different, and I like this a lot. And I didn't think the other guys would like it as much as I did. And when we kind of fleshed out the song, we were all kind of like, okay, yeah, that was cool. We'll record it, but I don't think it'll ever be a single or a music video. Like it'll just kind of be there.
But here we are now, and now it's a really killer single.
Yeah, it's weird that way, right? And we wrote it, we loved it, but we didn't think it would be something that, beyond being released, say, on an EP or something. We didn't imagine it being a song that would kind of come out before anything else and, be promoted as a single. And when we recorded it last January, February of this year, we got the mixes back from our producer and engineer Murray Daigle, and we all kind of heard this song, and I think for most of us, if not all of us, it immediately became one of our favorites of the songs we had recorded in those sessions. And suddenly the idea of it becoming a music video was much more plausible, and it was much more interesting and exciting for us to kind of entertain that idea. And yeah, now through the juggling everything 2020 is thrown at us, we're here, and yeah, we're beyond proud of this single.
Oh, that's very cool. And kind of going back to what you were saying about Alice in Chains, would you say that's when you first discovered rock music, is Alice in Chains and Deftones, or 90s?
No. So like for me, like I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock from my parents, like a lot of Aerosmith, Zeppelin, the Stones, Van Halen, and it really wasn't until like I was in high school and I was taking drum lessons with my drum instructor Matt Sullivan. He grew up in the 90s. I was born in the 90s, but he like grew up in the 90s. So he would be coming to my house to teach me lessons, and he just brought along this like massive sort of CD binder.
I remember those.
Yeah, he would bring along one of those, and I'd be flipping through it, and it would be all these bands that I didn't hear of on our local classic rock radio station, or from the bands that like my parents were in my parents' CD collection. And that's how I got started listening to a lot of bands like Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains. And for me, like a lot of those bands very immediately became some of my favorite artists to listen to.
That's cool. Yeah, actually, growing up, in 5th and 6th grade, we would take band class, and I was the only girl drummer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So did you take drum lessons in like elementary school or in band class?
Yeah, I mean that's where it got started. So I loved listening to music all my life, but I never had any idea of playing it, and I never had any motivation or want to play music, which is really weird because that's all I do now, right? But grade 7 came, and our music teacher said, okay, it's time to pick an instrument. And I looked around the room, and the only thing that was in a rock band was the drum set. And I didn't really know what the drum set did, you know? As a kid, I was like, I knew what a guitar solo was, and I knew like what, you know, like listening to people like Joe Perry and Eddie Van Halen and like Brian May. It was like, I know, like, I don't know how to do it, but I know what guitar players do. I didn't know what drummers did, but it was the only thing that was in a rock band that was in that room. So I was like, okay, I want to play the drums. And I went home and I told my parents that. And to me, it was just a means to the end of, I need to play an instrument for the next 2 years to get through music class. And you know what, my parents were crazy enough that they were like, let's get him a drum set.
And
so
they were supportive. That's cool.
Yeah, they were super supportive. And you know, it's such an instrument that, you know, now that I teach drums, you know, parents are always like, should we get him a drum set? It's really loud. I'm like, it is really loud. But yeah, so, you know, I started drumming in like grade 7 in elementary school. And shortly after that, I went and saw Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was doing a drum clinic not too far away from here. And I didn't get tickets to see the Chili Peppers it was during the Stadium Arcadium tour. I didn't get tickets to see them, unfortunately, but my parents took me to go watch Chad, and, you know, I didn't know what a drum clinic was. I was like, maybe they'll all be there. Maybe it'll be like a secret concert. I don't know. But, you know, I went, and instantly I went from like not wanting to play drums to like that was the moment that, you know, watching Chad Smith play and, you know, like watching him and then hearing the sounds that were coming out of the instrument at the same time and kind of seeing it like that. That for me was that moment where I started wanting to actually play the drums. And that's kind of when my parents started getting me drum lessons. And from there, that's when more of the 90s alternative and grunge bands started making their way into my CD collection.
Oh, very nice. And today, who would you say are drummers that kind of inspire your style of playing?
Oh, still Chad Smith is my number one. You know, when it's time to kind of write drum parts, I like to go back and listen to a lot of the stuff that he was doing, especially on Blood Sugar Sex Magic, One Hot Minute, and Californication. And, you know, I got to say, he really surprised me this year with his involvement on Ozzy Osbourne's Ordinary Man. The drums on that record are fantastic. And again, you know, kind of served as inspiration into my own playing throughout this last year. You know, other drummers that I really appreciate and kind of draw from, I would definitely say Brad Wilkes from Rage Against the Machine, Matt Cameron from Soundgarden, Steve Jordan, because he's just the master of all things groove and just fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I really try to orient myself with a lot of groove drummers, but, you know, guys like Chad Smith and John Bonham are almost like the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Groove and that big rock sound.
Yeah, no, those are two good ones. I feel like a lot of drummers mention John Bonham as like a legendary drummer.
If you go back and you listen to Zeppelin 1, and the first song that most people heard from Led Zeppelin was Good Times, Bad Times. And that song, in like 3.5 minutes, it's like a masterclass on everyone just being the best on their instrument for, you know, 1969 or 69, yeah. You know, it's just like, it's a fantastic song, but like, it's just all of them are killing it on their individual instruments. And Bonham is playing the drums like no one was playing the drums. And that was like your first introduction to Zeppelin. And obviously he kept it up through his career, but it's crazy that he's still, you know, such a relevant influence on modern drumming, you know, over 50 years from back then.
No, absolutely. I think that's like one of the bands that will like inspire generation after generation.
Oh, certainly inspire us.
Exactly, yeah. So I wanted to talk to see, you know, what else does One in the Chamber have coming up in the near future?
So we are sitting on a bunch of unreleased songs that we are looking to release, right? Earlier this year, we were actually in the studio and we recorded Blow, which came out in March, and then we recorded Gallows, which just came out. But for us, like, we're kind of sitting on other songs from that same session. And, you know, the plan originally was to have this amazing 2020 of, you know, we mapped it out from like spring, summer of 2019. Like, this is how we are going to, you know, just kind of build and build and build. And, you know, we went into the studio at the time that we were supposed to go into the studio. Blow came out when it was supposed to come out, and Blow came out 2 weeks after everything went into lockdown. So our single release show for Blow was canceled. Our spring shows were canceled. Everyone was so optimistic for the summer, but, you know, everything obviously was canceled. And you know, we were originally hoping to release a second single and video shortly after Blow, like around May or June. And funny enough, that one was not supposed to be To the Gallows. At that point, To the Gallows was still this song that we weren't sure if it would be a single or not. But we had to kind of navigate the year and try and figure out how do we make sure that we release this music and still, you know, set it up for success, right? Because we didn't want to just release it because we had it, because, you know, we put a lot of time and creativity and energy into this music, and we wanted to make sure that it saw the release that we felt you know, we wanted to top what we'd done in the past with our 2018 release, I've Got Something to Say, and the music videos that went along with that. We wanted to grow off of that. So we wanted to make sure that everything we were doing was passing our own expectations. And, you know, so we kind of delayed, and then finally the fall kind of came, and we were like, okay, we do have to put out another single at this point, because it's just been so long since Blow came out, you know. And again, we still weren't even thinking of To the Gallows. It was an entirely different song with an entirely different music video planned. And you know, this music video that's hopefully coming out in the spring, this was Mike's like baby. Like, normally we always work with Diego Del Rio, our director, video producer, just all around fantastic genius behind the camera. Normally we give him a vibe and idea, and we're like, all right, go for it. And he makes it, like, he blows it up and just gives us this thing that's fantastic. But Mike had written out like a script, a storyboard, whatever you want to call it, for this super ambitious music video, but it required a lot of people in close quarters. So sure enough, fall came, and we're getting ready to shoot this video, and there was no lockdown restrictions. We were kind of in the clear to do it. And then 2 weeks before the video was supposed to be shot, all these restrictions came in place, and we were like, okay, like, we have this day booked to shoot a video. So we were talking with Diego, and he's like, well, do you have a different song that we could do a different video for? And we were like, yeah, we've got this song, To the Gallows. And, you know, we showed it to him. We went with this sort of dark and haunting ambient sort of vibe, and that's kind of what that happened. That's kind of how that all happened. But, you know, we still have plans for another music video, and you know, we've got some more unreleased songs that we're hoping to put out. And, you know, we're really happy with how this year turned out in terms of our releases and in terms of just the reception. Like, we're blown away by how supportive everyone's been through this crazy year. And you know, the support and the reaction to our new music has been like overwhelming. Like, you know, we were happy with our music, and we were proud of it, and we were like, yeah, this is something that we're excited to release. And the fact that people are continuing to compare us to some of our heroes, or, you know, people like you are saying it's one of their favorite songs they've heard this year, like, whoa, it's a good song, sure, but that's crazy, you know. So it's been a really exciting year, and we've kind of socially responsibly navigated our way through with a couple of live streams. So we're just hoping to make 2021 even bigger in that same sort of sense.
No, I I'm feeling optimistic about 2021 for the music industry, especially how this year has gone, you know, trying to make the most of it as best as we can. But yeah, I'm hoping 2021 it'll be like a strong year for the music industry.
I hope so. I mean, I don't see it bouncing back for at the very least like 6 months, you know. But you know, we'll see. I'm obviously very hopeful for it because
Yeah, I'm just happy that, you know, bands are still releasing good music to,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
keep
It was
people
a really
happy.
good year for good music.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm really hoping the best for you guys. And again, like I said, I love To the Gallows and excited to see, you know, what other music you guys have coming up.
Well, thank you very much. No, we'll definitely hear from us in the new year. Like I said, we're sitting on this unreleased music, and we're just very excited to put it out.
Very cool. Well, Gerrod, I really appreciate your time. It's been a blast chatting with you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and happy holidays.
You as well. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Take care.